testing mic. Hopefully this doesn't burn your ears. It probably will. The compressor's now jacked up. Okay, anyway. Hi, Delusion. We're gonna be looking over your VOD review here. Been a bit, but you know what? Better late than never. Anyway. Okay, so one of the main problems that you have, decision making, positioning. Right. This can be summed up really easily. I have watched this already, just didn't finish the VOD review, so I had to do it again. You play Nobunaga like he is a rifle. He is not a rifle, he is a DMR hard holder. He is extremely good at hard holding certain positions because of his pylons and his enhanced DPS in his pylons. You cannot play him like a rifle. Do not play him like a rifle. Play him like, let's say, an Audrey. If you play him like an Audrey, a turreted Audrey, well, that can move around in a sense, then that's how you play him. You don't play him here. You actually play him all the way in backside. Use your range to your advantage. You have done this in a couple rounds, I believe. Not all the time though. The biggest problem that I see immediately with your Nobu gameplay is the fact that you're not pre-placing your pylons pre-start a round. Before the round starts, rather. You're not placing them there. The way you play Nobunaga is very rifle-like. It is not something you would see normally in, let's say, actual Nobu gameplay. If you want to, you could probably go to a city and ask him about this as well. He will obviously say that you're playing him wrong as well, in a sense that you're playing him not in favor of his play style because of the way his kit works. Mostly because of Awakening 1, mostly because of the fact that you can just have a bunch of fire rate on this guy, the passive, all that stuff. A lot of stuff just favors him using long range. There is also times where you instead throw your nades just like that without prior information. You see, rather, you kind of know that they're there, but you don't know if it's gonna get use. You just throw it in advance just to stop this from happening in a situation where you actually don't know if they're actually gonna come here. And that technically is fine, but I wouldn't throw it this early in the round. There's only a couple points where like you would do this. Let's say if you're flanking, which Nobu is not usually a flanker, so he just doesn't do this in general. Or if you're denying a very obvious push like this, but instead of, like, you know, at the start of the round just immediately like this, you would use it at a more contested choke like this. You would use it right here if they want to go into sight. But there is a lot of mistakes you may hear due to the fact that you're not playing your character the way that they're supposed to be played. That's the main reason why. And that kind of sums up most of these rounds, actually, unironically, most of the time. Because, again, because of the fact that you don't have your pylons, you don't have extended DPS, and you don't have shield regen. That's his biggest strength, shield regen. His pylons just do a lot. I did mention at some point previously in my last looking of this that you should probably ADS more with this character. You did do it some of the time. It's just not often enough to where you know, I had to make a note of it, because most of the time you're doing hip fire on a character that does really well with ADS. And obviously, like, you know, like, sometimes the ADS is just cursed inside. It is what it is. You'll get used to it. But yeah, let me just show you how, like, weird this is from a perspective of an actual Nobu player. I don't actually, like, fully play Nobu, but I know how Nobu plays. Like, Nobu is usually right here. You're playing him over here. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad position. I'm saying that if you want to play Nobu in this position, you do what you're doing right now on this round. We're placing the pylon here. I don't know if you actually know about, like, all of Nobu's kit, because placing 2 pylons here actually, like, not really doubles the buff, but gives you an enhanced buff. Use that. Definitely use that. You could let's say you could like use like 2 pylons here and here, not only extending the range of the buff in general, but enhancing your buff and just allowing you to do a little bit more damage and or survive a little more often. You also have this habit where if you're looking to fight or you're looking to do certain things, you do it one at a time. You don't do it in a sense of multitasking what you would expect from high elo players, because they're not only like using util, not only using just shooting at people, but they're also like at the same time not trying to get hit. You don't do that yet. When you use util, from what I've noticed, I'll find an example here eventually, but when you use util, you do it in a way that is very easy to shoot. Not only do you like well, this is a mistake that other people make at this point, so this is not used right now, but the mistake that you mainly make when I say that you're using util wrong and stuff like that, like I guess this is an example, you kind of panic here. It's in a sense like that where you don't know what to do, so you kind of stand around. You still have paper. You have paper. Instead of like jumping around, you could just paper in their face and just get to this wall safely. I don't know how much you underestimate paper, but paper is very, very good. In this case, by the way, you would go here, either paper onto this wall, or instead, like if you're panicking and you want to run, just fly over here, get onto this wall, and get onto this corner so that you'll stay alive. But regardless, the problem is you're playing him like you don't know how to play the character. That's the big problem. Again, you've told me that you played Ming, Michelle, Luin. You played 3 rifles. And then you're playing a DMR and you don't know exactly how his kit works. Because at the very least, if you play the rifle, you would know, like, you know how to use the gun and know the range that you have to use it at. But when you're playing this character, you play him in a way that is against what this character does. It's not like specifically against what this character does, because again, the buffs that he gets when in pylon allow him to fight close range because he just out damages everyone. Oh, another thing about that interceptor you threw, really quickly, instead of throwing it here on this ledge and you see them from over here, another thing that you have to work on is util usage in terms of info. I actually already mentioned this before, but it's better to just tell you it now in much more depth, because I want you to abide by this rule, the 90% rule. You have to be 90% sure that your util is going to be of use before you throw it. I want you to be more stingy with your util. Being stingy with your util is going to allow you to find more situations where util actually makes sense to use, and it's going to make you more disciplined in terms of util. So instead of for example, instead of using it right here, think of places where the util can, 1, not be shot, and 2, where it provides the most coverage for you and potentially your team. So instead of right here, which was obviously shootable, and even here, like this interceptor is not going to do much for you, because the one thing that they're going to do, they're going to line up a smoke, throw it right at, like they're not even throwing it at you, they're going to throw it on the choke and then rush through. They're not going to care about the Nobu that's just up here. He cannot do enough damage to stop an enemy push that is rushing over here behind this cover. So what you would do instead is throw an interceptor on the stairs, because if you look from attacker's side, they cannot shoot that. The only way you can kill that from this point of view is Ming Orb. Ming Orb, it may be like their own nade, but then it's an interceptor, so that's besides the point. And then if you had, like, let's say a pylon here and then you're stationed right here, you get some free damage off with your ADS. And that's how you play Nobu specifically. That's how you're supposed to play Nobu. You play him like a rifle. That's why I'm saying that you play him like a rifle, because you're constantly moving around and you're constantly looking for different angles. DMRs, and especially Nobu, doesn't necessarily want to do that most of the time because of the way his kit works. When you want to use your ult, use it when you can see them on site directly. Kind of use it dangerously. because you're using it too early. Obviously, you see that right now, obviously, right? But I want you to do it later in the round, much later in the round. You can't do it when they are not even on site yet, because all they're gonna do is leave. And another thing to note is to take note of what ultimates can be abused after you use yours, because there is a character here that if there is no Nobu ult, this runs free, for free, and that's a big problem. Nobu ult against a Meredith ult in the right conditions is it's like the biggest hard counter, because like you did your round winning play here, right? I don't know why the camera's tilted, but you did your round winning play right here from the 1-3 teleport here. That was good. That was good. I cannot deny that being bad. It was a good play, unironically. But the problem with this is, what if the Meredith, you didn't have this opportunity, the Meredith saw you coming or heard you or anything like that and was wary of you. What if you instead saved your ult, TP'd right here, went up to here, and then just ulted in their face? Now the Meredith ult works against them, because not only do attackers and defenders get blindsided or get nearsighted, your ult just makes it so that defenders don't have that weakness anymore. So the Meredith ult actually does work against the attackers, which is why Noble ult in the right conditions is a hard counter to Meredith ult. But anywho, that's besides the point at this point. So I think for now, at least on terms of defense play, when you're playing this character, I want you to figure out where Nobu can be played, what ranges he can be played in, and his playstyle specifically. Because again, you're playing him like a rifle. Exactly like how normally like a rifle with a rifle with extra steps, essentially. That's kind of how you're playing the guy. Think of him like you're playing an Audrey with turret. I already did say that. Forget I said that then. Alright, so but that's the main thing. That's the main gist I talked about. At least the problems with your Nobu so far. You're not playing Nobu per se. You're not playing Nobu. Essentially, you're playing a rifle with a DMR. You need to figure out. You need to discipline your util usage. Make sure 80 to 90% of the time that your util will get use, and figure out ways to make it much easier for yourself to get that usage, like this interceptor right here. And 3, I think another big one is your habits on how you approach fighting. I have mentioned this before. Whenever you, because you kind of look like a lost lamb in some of these cases. Not when you died there, but you have a habit of whenever you're throwing an interceptor, whenever you're throwing a nade, whenever you're doing something, you're kind of putting yourself out of cover to line up your nade or line up your util usage most of the time. Well, actually, no, it's right here. It's right here. One of them's right here. So you throw that, right? You throw that. Like, this interceptor is like a big one, because you do this all the time. It's not just this. This is just like the small example that doesn't make any sense. But in the bigger picture, this happens all the time to you. So you throw the nade, going back. Interceptor, you just kind of stand still. You do this all the time, apparently. You do this all the time, at least with interceptor. It's like you're lining up your nades. You're looking for lineups on your nades, and it just doesn't make any sense to do so. I want you to have a habit where, 1, you're making sure that you're in cover before you throw your nade, and 2, try to keep moving around. I'm not saying that you should be always moving around when you should throw a nade, because most of the time it isn't the case. But a lot of the time, it's actually developing a bad habit for you, because it's forcing you to go out of cover, because you're going to go out, get your interceptor out or whatever nade you have, and then aim it and then lob it. I don't want you to do that. I want you to move around, pick up your nade while you're moving, maybe jump throw, run throw, do anything else, because it's going to make you a much harder target to hit. What I do specifically is very often I will take out my nade while running, while papering, because you can do that too. You can get used to that as well. You can take out your nade while papering. And then jump throw, like jump peek, like you know how people jump peek? Do that with a nade throw. Or you could do that like if you're looking to stay out in the open for a while, throw the nade, instantly go into paper. Just make yourself hard to hit. Although that's not specifically the case right now. You also have problems with reading the map, but that's just part of the course. You'll get used to that. But most of the Nobu stuff is just based around the fact that you just don't specifically have that playstyle that is suited for the character right now. Alright, so we're on attack now. The knives you throw as a Lewin player. Oh, well, obviously this position is very bad for you right now because you're just far away from your team. If this was on say, like, Area 88 or a different map or something like that, and even, like, I could literally just say this, like, if this was higher elo, they would cut you off. They would literally cut you off, and you have the bomb. So that would be a big problem. So make sure you get onto site at the very least. Okay, about the knife again. The knives you throw, they need to be able to not be shootable. The knives you throw are very shootable. This knife right here that you threw is very shootable if people are playing there. What I want you to do as well when you're playing Lewin is to find knives that aren't shootable. You don't have to, like, you know, go into a custom to, like, look for it. I just want you to be conscious of, like, throwing knives that aren't shootable. There's a lot of examples like all around the place that you can throw a knife and it's just not shootable all the time. But yeah, it happens a lot. Like, here's the thing. Okay, well, you do paper when you reload too. A lot of the times when you fight as well, you're looking to fight till the end. Don't do that. When you are getting shot, figure out to the point. Okay, well, this one. Okay, this one. I did talk about that earlier. There's no reason to push up because your team didn't want to push up as well. So I guess that's 4 things, I guess, to think about. That's quite a bit of things. I want you to work at it one at a time. But let's say okay, let's see. It's stingy util usage, learning Nobu, throwing unshootable knives. What's the other one? Oh, yeah. Throwing better util, aka util, like you throwing util in a way that is very hard to shoot. And now my train of thought is lost. That's rough. That's actually rough. It'll come to me eventually. Oh, and reading your team's body language, reading your team's overall body language, because of that fact, I don't know what you can see on your side on the minimap. But if you have, because it looks so far that you have a minimap that doesn't show the full screen, that doesn't show the full scale of the map, nor does it give you like all the info that you need. Because of that, you're making decisions that don't reflect what's actually happening. Because you see things that, like, oh, they might be in or they might be not. You might check your map, but who needs, like, why would you? I mean, sometimes you would check your map, right? But like in some cases, why would you need to do that when the information is literally at the top right of your corner? That ult plays good, by the way. But there's a lot more options you can do with that ult. I will go back really quickly just to check around. People don't think of this. People don't think of this enough. Here, let me go over to you. You onto this wall, right? What's that right there? That's a wall. That's a wall in your ult. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to walls that your ult hits. And this is exactly what I mean. When you fight in a way that makes you really easy to shoot. It makes you really easy to shoot. At least start strafing. Start strafing a little bit while you're shooting in shoulder fire. Let me just do this real quick, because this is what you look like to the enemy. This is what you look like to the enemy right now. Like, you basically gave them a free shot. You barely moved. You barely moved around. When you fight, learn to move more in close range scenarios, because if you live there at all, this should be a 1 round. Like 100%. Now it's a 4v4. Now it's a lot closer than it should be. But you get the idea at this point. Regardless, that's kind of mostly what happened here as well. So yeah. So honestly, that's like this entire VOD review, because I did already watch this before. So the things I'm going to list down for you is obviously add more movement to your combat, because movement is it means a lot in this game. The harder you are to hit, the easier it is for you to get into situations where you're in a favorable fight. Especially with paper mode. Paper mode does that really easily. If you get really good with movement with your paper, you become like it's so hard to hit you. It's really hard to hit. 2, play Nobunaga at his range. Play Nobunaga with his kit. That's really it for that one. Use util much more greedily. Be stingy with your util, so that you can better find situations where it's optimally used, and then you can start to branch out into maybe optimally used, maybe not optimally used, but it's still useful anyway type of stuff. And understand how to read your teammates' language or body language. That's going to take a long time, because you're going to have to figure out like what all the characters do, what they can do, how they position, who's in, who's not. Is it a good thing to actually chase after someone or not? Is it a good thing to actually like help a teammate or not? Do you just leave the teammate for dead because they just made a bad decision? You have to ask all of these things to yourself. So realistically, just work on these one at a time. Probably the nade usage first. If you want to work on Nobu first, that's fine, but the main one is going to be the util usage. And then I would say work on the map, understanding the map, what you can see on the map, and decision making revolving that, because your decision making right now is basically revolving around your lack of knowledge on where the enemy is. That's essentially what's happening right now. And that can be easily fixed and much more easily what's the word, improved on. It'll be much more easy to actually, like, you know, see your mistakes when you have the information. Because right now, from what I've seen in this VOD, you act like you don't have the information. So just have like a mini map that shows everyone. I don't care if it's rotational, I don't care if it's static. Just make sure that you can see everything on the map. Stare at the minimap. Unironically, if you ever played League, you know what to do there. And honestly, that's pretty much it. Other than making sure you're not hittable while throwing util. But I already drilled that enough into this VOD review anyway, so you'll be able to see that. But yeah, this VOD review is a bit quick, which is, I mean, it's fine because I've already watched this before, so I know what to say at this point. But yeah, your rifles are fine. Again, I would have to see your Ming and Michelle gameplay to see what that's like. But so far the mistakes here are much easier due to the fact that you don't have to play characters, so you make much more fundamental mistakes, which is really easy to see. So I can point that out for you. And yeah, if you want another VOD review, just go ahead and send it over. All right, bye.